Good morning.
Good morning. So yeah,
Yes,
what the actual fuck,
release this
right?
morning. All right, I'm tagging you up so that hopefully you can get it. All right, so yes, we are live now. Apologies, guys. We've had some fun with technology over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a
Yes, it has.
Okay, so
But
I think we are live now, and I am on. I think it's going on my page as well. I don't know.
sweet,
We'll see. Yep, here we are. Okay.
awesome. All right.
StreamYard made some major changes. They decided to basically they got new owners and decided to charge everybody anywhere from double to triple what they were paying, which is and without notification. So a lot of people suspended their accounts. I did, just to take things, and I didn't realize that that meant that they weren't going to allow me to go live on my own account anymore. So, well, that's okay. Well, that's fine. It's fine.
Yes.
Everything's fine.
Yes. Not sure why, because I never upgraded, but I still have access.
But
So
I did upgrade, but I suspended my account because I thought it would take me back to the free account. But apparently, it doesn't do that. It just suspends it completely. So whatever.
now we know.
That's all part of your budgeting when you are an online marketer, right? You have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So I am currently looking for alternatives that work best
Yes.
for us.
Yes. But for now, thankfully, I still have my account, and that's why we have multiples, and so we are good to go. So today, we're going to talk about what we were going to talk about last week, which is how to set monthly affiliate income goals and actually achieve them. I love this one because we do the same thing with our real estate team about this time every year, because real estate slows down in October. This is when you start game planning the next year. And this is something we walk all of our realtors through of, like, if this is how many closings you want, this is what it's going to look like to get there. So this is how to build your roadmap, essentially.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're just sort of trying anything and everything, you usually end up nowhere, right? So we're here to give you kind of an action plan of sorts, to help you set your goals and your guides and all of that sort of stuff. So that is what our plan is for today. All right. Okay. So let's start off with some like key information and actionable steps, especially like right off the beginning. Um, it takes a lot of effort to build an online marketing business, especially if you're in affiliate marketing. But really, any kind of online marketing business is gonna take time. Any business takes time. So the first thing you need to do, especially with your affiliate marketing, is figure out what your baseline income needs are going to be. Right.
Yes.
So, you know, in that, the first thing you want to do is list your expenses, like your rent, your utilities, your grocery, your car insurance, all of that sort of stuff, and figure out what, what you're actually, what it costs to just live, and then also include your savings goals, right? If you don't, I mean, right now, maybe you aren't saving. Maybe it's really difficult to save because you don't have that emergency fund or investments because you're basically putting all your money towards living. And we are all doing that, as it's just the way it is, and then you factor in some extra stuff for like your hobbies or going out once in a while, because you know what, it's not a crime to want to have a night out. It's just not. And we've reached the point in our financial world where having a small luxury like that can feel like you're being irresponsible. But if it's not every day, then no, it's not irresponsible. You're a human being and you deserve to have little goals and little enjoyments. So like an example would be, your fixed expenses are between $2,000 and $3,000 a month, depending on where you live and what kind of, like how much your insurances are and stuff like that. Your savings, maybe you want to try and do $500 a month. That's a lot, right? But I mean, even if it's $100 a month, right? Maybe you only want to save $100 a month just to get you started. and then your extras are another $100 to $300 a month. So you're going to need, a good chunk, right? You're going to need anywhere from like, say, 35 or 3,800 a month to maybe just 2,500 a month or 2,800 a month, right? That whatever that's going to be, that's what you have to try and figure out how to replace.
Yeah. And if you're not doing it to replace your 9 to 5, just figure out what the supplemental income is that you want to look at, right? Like we all saw it in the last couple of years where it's like, I make $10,000 a month now. And like everything was $10,000 months, right? And not everyone needs $10,000 months, right? Like, yeah, that would be great, but that's not what you need. So start small, start realistic. And then once you start making it, then you can scale to that 10,000 or whatever. But again, if it's just supplemental, figure out what that supplemental is that you want and then build from there.
Maybe that money is going towards your savings. Maybe that extra $300 a month is what you got to put towards your savings and give yourself a date night once a month. Right? Whether you're taking yourself out or your puppers or your significant other, whatever it's going to be, right? So it doesn't have to be that massive goal, because that massive goal can be really limiting too, right? Because that puts a huge in your head.
Yeah. Real fast, Jess, if you're watching, can you drop your link to your Financial 101 class? Because that does kind of caveat on what you were just talking about, Dawna. So
yeah, exactly. And so you want to, this is where you're writing down your goals, you're writing down the purpose of what it is that you're doing, and then you're setting some milestones. But those milestones also come with a timeline, so that sort of gives you something to work towards, right? So, if your first month is just to make a sale, whatever that sale is, that's perfectly acceptable. Right. And then you're going to build from there. And then maybe you've got like a 1 month plan, a 6 month plan, and a full year plan, or you can break it into smaller pieces if you want to, but just something that you have a goal to work towards each time. Because if your goal is only your end goal, every step in between is going to feel daunting, and you're not going to celebrate your successes that you've made. You're not going to recognize those that you've made progress along the way.
Yeah. And you typically wouldn't drive to a new location without directions. So think of it in those terms.
Very, very true. So, you want to reverse engineer your goal, right? Yeah. So say your goal is something simple, like $500 a month, right? You want to do something $500 a month over the next, within 3 months or something like that, or in the next, say, 5 months. It doesn't really matter, right? Whatever that time frame is, so you want to start small and then build on it. You got to figure out what it is you're offering, what the commission is going to be, how many sales you need to make in order to get that, how much work is going to be involved in making each of those sales to get that, and being realistic with your time as well, in order to make those sales, right? So,
yeah, and being realistic with is the way you're approaching it going to fit into what you want your business to look like, right? Because when I first started, it was everyone who was like, "Oh, you need to friend 100 people a day, and you need to DM all of them," and I was like, so here's the thing. Like, I'm not building this business to live on Facebook and cold DM people. Like, no. So I'm not going to start my business that way. And I didn't necessarily argue with a lot of people, but I had a lot of people who were like, well, you're not going to make it then if you're not going to do that. And I was like, that's fine. Like, my business will make it because I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, not the way you want me to.
Yeah. And recognizing what it is that what really matters to you also is going to factor into how long it's going to take you to get where you want to go, right? So if you're not going to be that person that's going to be the hard sales 24/7 online, 15 reels a day kind of thing and all that sort of stuff, be realistic with yourself on that and acknowledge that it's probably going to take you longer to get to your goals, but you're also probably not going to burn out as fast. So, unless you're just a natural born salesman, because some people just are, and they're great at it, and it's a skill set. And if you're just coming into if you're newer to the online marketing, or even if you've been around for a while, you've got to know that being a salesperson, like the marketing side, the sales side, is not a natural talent for most people. I mean, some people are absolutely naturals at it, but most people aren't. And it's a skill you have to learn, and you have to figure out what works best for you and the people that you're trying to reach.
Yeah. And then, of course, as you're building all this out, think about how you can diversify, right? Like, if you're going to do reels, that's great. Repurpose those reels to every platform you can. Do long form videos on YouTube and then cut those down to reels across your other portfolios, because you can have the same affiliate link on 5 different social media channels, and it can make you money from all 5 of those channels if you have the right strategy.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can do when you're diversifying is have more than one thing. So maybe you are promoting a larger ticket item, which requires a lot more effort. They say that, oh, well, it requires the same effort if it's small ticket or high ticket. And in certain ways, yes, but honestly, it's going to be a lot easier to get, it's easier to sell something that's cheaper, because we live in we have no money society. So, right, people, even when they do have money, they still are in that mindset that they don't. So if you have both, or you have complementing products, right, that's a way to also diversify your income. Or you're doing some physical with your digital, with your service, you're combining all of those. That way you have multiple income streams that allow you to really, build up that income that you're trying to goal, right? And meet that goal.
Yep, exactly. So one of my favorite things to do with all of this is I have an Excel spreadsheet that has all my affiliate links, what audience they would be good for, and what the pay structure looks like. Because then you have a better feeling of, maybe you're supporting a health and wellness channel, but you're also supporting a travel channel. You get a better sense of, okay, well, what ones could cross over and which ones should I not put on at all, right? And it just gives you a really good content clarity outlook, as well as like, okay, well, these are my higher ticket items. I want to focus on these a little bit more.
Yeah. And you can, like, the tracking system is great, because I don't know. It took me a while to actually do that. I have it in a Word document. I don't have it on a spreadsheet. So that's what, I went, what am I all using? Where are all my links? And how have it took me a while to sort of get, but that's my brain, right? It's like, ooh, I need this and I need this and I need this. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. I should probably put that in one spot. And, like, if you're using multiple channels, if you've got things that are very separate from each other, maybe you use one channel for one thing and another channel for another thing. So, like, maybe you use TikTok only for your digital marketing, or only for your products marketing. Say you've got products. TikTok's a great place for that, right? So maybe you do all your product marketing there, but you use your other social media platforms for your digital stuff. Right? And because they're separate, it doesn't really matter. You don't have to link them up. People don't need to know. I mean, people are all over the place. People that are going to see you on TikTok aren't necessarily going to see you on Facebook or Instagram or Threads or wherever else you're doing your thing. So
yeah, and that's still a good way to go ahead and diversify, right? So that's perfect.
Yeah. So then once you've got it all listed out, then you can sort of choose and focus on, right? Like, once because you've grabbed affiliate links for a billion things, right? You got started out and you were super excited and you just grabbed everything that came your way. This will allow, by having it all listed out, you can then look it over and go, you know what, maybe not this and maybe not that, and really allow you to sort of focus on what you actually want to sell, what things, products or services that you really want to be able to help your people with. Because, I mean, it's your business, right? So you want to be reaching people because it matters, not just because you think you're going to pull $1 out of them.
Yeah.
So.
And that's where it's important to make sure that what you're promoting is something that you actually use, you actually like, because like I'm probably not going to go around promoting, I don't know. Oh gosh, my brain just went blank.
Makeup?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, you're goth makeup, but you're not going to be a full glam girl, are you? You're not going to be promoting...
Never. Or hair products. Hair products this is as good as it gets, right? So
well,
like if I don't
use
use
straight hair products, yeah, it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? And so because like right now the color matching foundation is a really big one, right? And I don't know if it's a foundation or concealer. I don't know. I don't know. So like that's definitely not something I would jump on because I don't use it. So just be aware of that. We talk about it all the time. Be authentic. Don't just promote to promote.
Yeah, and because people will see through that, and that will put a massive dent in your income plans if you can't provide that passion and that authenticity towards whatever it is that you're promoting. And that it's perfectly acceptable to have multiple and diverse products, but you really do have to believe in what you're selling. Because again, unless you're a natural born salesperson, people are going to see through that in a heartbeat. We have become very jaded with our media and with our social media and the information that we're getting. We are very clear. People are generally very clear about this is bullshit, right? And so it behooves you to make sure that you're as authentic as you can be with what that you're doing. But there's, and so the other thing that you want to do is make sure that you are optimizing all of the options, the channels that you have available to you. So yes, video is big, but don't forget your evergreen or your, that kind of content. So like blogs, people are sort of about blogs, but the fact of the matter is it sticks around. I still get people reading content that I put out last year or like a year and a half ago.
Yep.
Right. And so don't ignore the fact that that sticks around. And as long as it's relevant and can stay relevant, that's a great way to just have something that just sticks around. And you can turn that into a YouTube video, which again is another way to have it stick around, or turn it into an audio podcast if you're really, really against the whole my face on screen, which is fair.
Yep.
You can do audio only podcasts and provide that same information where it doesn't scroll out of sight, out of mind within 24 hours or 2 hours or 15 minutes, depending on where you are.
Yeah. Well, and this is also where the whole build your list comes into play, right? So let's say that you're promoting multiple products and services within health and wellness. That's great. Make yourself a funnel or a capture page that gets people onto the email list, because then even if they miss the video or the live launch announcement or whatever it is, you can still send them updates. And some people still prefer to read versus watch, right? And some people will and you can send videos in email. So not building that list, especially if you're going to be diversifying, is as much as I hated the whole build your list thing in the beginning. I was like, screw you guys. I'm just sending them to your list. You do the nurture and just pay me, right? Like that was how I started out. But as I've developed my own business and whatnot, I was like, okay, yeah, no, now I see, and then you can send the blog posts and you can send the YouTube videos. And it's just a really good way to connect with people who maybe don't doom scroll Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. Or maybe they do doom scroll, but not the platform that you're primarily on.
Yeah. And it also... the thing about your emails is it's a way for you to share more of your personality. Give little updates that aren't necessarily sell. It's a way to get more eyes on your evergreen content. that sort of stuff. Get people into, maybe you start a free community, and that's a good way to get people in there. It's a challenge. It's another one of those things is daunting. So that's why we always say step by step by step. You're not trying to go from A to Z in one big step, right? You got to do all the little pieces in between. And that is what's going to help you build your income, meet your goals, and have all those little goals along the way, right? And so that you can get where you want to go.
Yep. Yeah. So let's say, your goal is 5 sales a month, and maybe they're smaller ticket, like maybe they're $100 items, right? Well, percentagely, 3 to 4% of people who look at your offer will buy. So work those numbers backwards. I can't off the top of my head right now. But so, essentially out of 100 people, then 3 might buy, right? So that means you want to reach out to 100 people, well, probably 150 people a week, which is a lot, right? It sounds like a lot. Then you have to game plan how you're going to do that. Are you going to be an annoying cold DMer? Are you going to, do it in video, or you do it in blog and send your blog to a bunch of people? Like, figure out how you're going to reach out to these people. Maybe there's a really good group that allows promotion, right? And you're reaching out in there. But figure out how many hours that's going to be of emailing, DMing, etc., or even text messaging.
Yeah, and responding. Don't forget that the engagement is the response, right? Like, you can do all this stuff, but if you don't respond to anybody, it's a dead end right there as well. So,
yep. And then plan your content around that as well. And again, as Dawna had said, around what you can sustain.
Yeah, that's massively important, because if you're a parent and you've got spawnlings running around everywhere and you're running them back and forth to their different bazillion sporting events. We have teenagers here. I've got 2 teenage boys, and one of them is in every freaking thing known to man, right? So it's like every day he's off to somewhere else, and he just turned 16. So he's not actually able to drive. I mean, he has his license, but no, he's not driving anywhere yet.
Right.
So it's still a lot of that. The other one's 14. So when he's got soccer, it's pick him up, drop him off. They've got games. They've got this. They've got after school stuff. So you've got to figure all that out in between your work, right? Or if you've got, like in your case, you've got dogs, and you've got a lot. They do training. They do all sorts of stuff on top of that. So you've got work, plus you've got all these other things. So you have to make sure that you can create a plan that's sustainable for you, because you might be removing some of those things that's going to allow you more time, but you got to do it at a pace that's actually sustainable, because you will burn out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is rare. And
no, you're being so calm.
This is one of those scenes that, like, if I went to film, I think you saw my live with the new BeFit stuff, and when they busted through the sliding glass door, they busted in. They were very happy. So, they make life interesting as a content creator.
But you know what? That is authentic to you, and you are going to attract the people who are like that. Like me, I'm just, I swear a lot, so. Oops.
And then of course track. We talk about it all the time. Track and focus on building those relationships. And it's when you're tracking, when you're understanding what's working and what's not working, it becomes really easy to scale.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you have to track. You're tracking not just your clicks and your conversions and whether this is working better than that. You're also tracking where you're at, how it's, is it actually working, how close you're getting to your goal. Do you need to make some adjustments to your goal? Okay, so you're getting close to your first month and you're not hitting that 500. Okay. So you're going to do some more reverse engineering, looking at what it is that you've been doing up to this point. Is it getting you towards your goal? Is it not getting you towards your goal? Where do you need to make some minor adjustments? Was your goal too lofty? And it's okay to say, you know what, maybe my goal was a little further than what I could possibly reach. I didn't realize starting out that this was going to take as much time as it was going to, or that I needed this particular thing that I didn't have, all those kinds of things. So don't beat yourself up if you don't automatically meet that goal, as long as your goal was reasonable. If your goal was like way the hell up there, knock it off, step back, take a more reasonable look at things.
Yeah. Just starting out and your goal is 20,000 by Christmas, it's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, I never want to say never, because there are people who are, for whatever reason, it just clicks and everything clicks for them. And that's fantastic. But that is not the norm. And I think it's really, we sell the high, but we work the low. Mm-hmm. Right? And so just be realistic and honest with yourself about who you are and what you can do. Right? And that doesn't mean that you can't reach 20,000. You absolutely can. It's just a matter of it might take you a little longer to get there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically the gist of it, guys. Like, reverse engineering is so helpful when it comes to this stuff. If you're not sure how to do that, reach out to us. We might do a whole podcast episode later, honestly, on just how to reverse engineer, because it can sound super daunting. And I know, like, again, with the realtors, when we tell them exactly how many calls they need to make a day, they're always like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, and I think we tend to do the high-level reverse engineering, especially if you're choosing to affiliate for a high-ticket item. You're like, oh, well, I just need 7 sales. And it's like, well, that's only a tiny piece of the whole reverse engineering. Yes, but, once you factor in, okay, are you factoring in the costs of the things that you're going to need? Are you factoring in your time? Are you factoring in your taxes? Are you factoring in anything other than, well, if I make 10 sales, I'll make $10,000. And it's like, there's so much more than that.
And traffic is always the missing piece, right? Like, that's fine. How are you going to get that link in front of people? How are you going to get traffic to it? Are you factoring in the price of the traffic if you're going to go ahead and pay for solo ads or clicks or anything like that? Like, there's a lot to factor in.
Yeah, so, right? And then, once you've got it all sorted, like, say you finally got your campaign sorted out, you figured out how to talk to your audience. Now, remember that repetition is okay. Mm-hmm. Because who's seeing your stuff today is not who's seeing your stuff tomorrow. Who's seeing your stuff over here is not the same people who are seeing your stuff over there. And even if they really don't like it, they can block. Mm-hmm. They can mute you. They can do whatever they need to do. That's not your concern. I've
unfollowed so many people the last year.
Yeah, those people are not your concern, because those people are not your customer, right? Those are not the people that you're trying to reach. So if somebody gets annoyed because you're promoting too much or you're talking too much about the same thing, whether it's a health and wellness product or it's it's an education system or whatever it is, if people are getting annoyed with you talking about it, those are not your people. So we don't care about those people. And that sounds rude, but it's just a fact.
Oh, I get it all the time when people would meet me like, oh, well, you don't look like a realtor. Like, you don't look like a realtor I would use. I'm like, that's fine. You're not my client. Like, exactly. That's why there's hundreds of us.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with any kind of online marketing thing that you're doing. Who your tribe is will stick around and to listen. And if you're consistent in your message and you're consistent in what it is that you're talking about, because you know what it is you're talking about, people will come back for that information and they will connect with you and they will want to buy from you. So just, don't bounce around.
And you don't have to be pushy. Like, no. Maybe not being pushy loses you a couple sales, but in the long run, again, if that's your personality, you're building a more sustainable business. There's a big
difference between leading and guiding and pushing. Right? Yeah. So your goal is to lead and guide people towards that sale. And then when you do offer something, they don't feel like you've been trying to, they don't feel like they just went into, a store.
Timeshare presentation.
Yeah, that's perfect. I was going to say a store where you've got that poor girl that's, or guy that's on commission and they're just following around. Do you need any help? Do you need any help? Do you need any help? But it's timeshare is perfect where you're trapped in there. You can't get out and they just keep pounding you with this buy, buy, buy. Exactly. So you don't need to do that. You can lead them to a place, and then when you do make your offer, they understand and they're comfortable with it, and then they can choose it or not. And oftentimes they'll even feel guilty about not, if they aren't in a position to grab it, they might actually even feel guilty that they can't do it right now. But they'll keep it in their mind so that when the money does come, or when they figured out a way that works for them to be able to purchase it, they will. Because think about it. If you want a car, right, you go to a bunch of different car lots, you pick the person that actually makes you feel more comfortable. And even if you're not able to get that car right now, you will keep it in your mind and you will go back to that person when you're ready to buy that car. So same thing goes with whatever it is that, you're out there trying to promote.
Yep.
So what do we got here? All right, areas to focus on. So obviously niche selection, we talked about that. Now niche is it's more about what you want to specialize in. So if you want to specialize in health and wellness, what part of health and wellness do you want to specialize in? Right? And then focus your links, you're affiliating for on that one thing, and try to get a range, try to get a range of like stuff that's more high level or high ticket and stuff that's lower ticket, so that you have, a full, nice, round little business to create, right? And then like we were talking about earlier, building that trust, and that just comes with being authentic and being honest about what it is you're doing. Right.
Yeah.
And the last one is networking, because it's a lonely thing online. It can be a very lonely thing online. And it can be pretty easy to feel overwhelmed and distressed and like I'm the only one. When you see all these people talking about how they're making all this money and you're not. And so network with people, figure out, especially people within your decided specialization that can maybe offer tips and tricks, maybe offer a mentor. I am a big, big proponent of having a mentor. And that doesn't mean that you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to find your mentor. But, a mentor is definitely going to help you bypass some of the crap that you don't need. So,
yeah. And some of the mental roadblocks, honestly.
Yeah, true. Then where they just say, hey, knock it off. What's really stopping you?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
that's pretty much it, guys. Figure out your monthly need, what you actually want to replace, and then work it backwards from there. And then celebrate the small wins, right? Like we've all been there when we get that, you just earned a commission and it's 30 cents and you're freaking ecstatic because it's the first one, right? And most people will be like, okay, 30 cents, big deal. But, that 30 cents then turns into $10, which turns into 20, which turns into 30. And maybe that 30 is a recurring. And then it turns into, it snowballs. So it's super important to celebrate the small wins. And like, you're going to reach a point where you're like, oh God, I only made a $2 sale. And someone's going to be there to be like, well, you're doing more than I am because I haven't made any money, so take it as is. Like, I think I made $12 off YouTube last year. But you know what? It was $12 that I didn't have before.
So there you go, right? Exactly. There are people out there who haven't made a damn thing off of YouTube. So, and it's the same with the medium. Like some people are like, oh, I'm making thousands of dollars. And other people are like, I made like $4. Yeah. I made 60 cents, right? Whatever.
But that means $4 worth of people decided that what you had to say was worth reading. So keep going. Joe Rogan didn't get paid for a lot of the stuff that he started with. And now he's got the biggest podcast in the world. I don't really like him, but you got to respect the hustle.
Yeah. No.
And now we might get to see Logan Paul getting knocked out by what's his face? Tyson, Mike Tyson. Team
I
Tyson.
think that one's funny, man. I'm curious to see how that lands out tonight. I'm not gonna lie.
If he doesn't back out again.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes. Like I say, I'm curious to see how it's gonna go because, yeah, he's insane. So,
well, again, like he's fighting Mike Tyson because he started YouTubing a decade ago, and made it big. And again, a lot of people don't like him. That's why we all want to see him get knocked out. But he's making a lot of money off people not liking him. So,
yeah.
There's an audience for everything.
There is. So you find your tribe, you find your group of people. And if it's, if you want to be the one that's inciting that, then as long as you're good with it, man, that's the key thing. It's got to resonate with who you are. And as I always say, continuous learning.
Yes.
Always keep learning, keep researching, keep learning, because what works today might not work tomorrow. What you're doing today might get you where you need to go, but requires a lot of effort. And so as you learn all the new systems and all the new options and all the new ways to streamline, or the things that are working better in the algorithms and stuff like that, or even just steps that maybe you missed that you can implement, and all of a sudden that works so much easier, that's, you just want to make sure that you're constantly learning, but don't get stuck in just learning, because I do that. I can easily do that where I'm on an education binge, and it's like, okay, I've learned a million things and done nothing.
Right. Yeah. And typically what makes you your first million is not going to be the same thing that makes you your first 10 million. So bear that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that about wraps it up. And then next week, I'm excited. We're going to talk about lead gen with polls and quizzes and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, because there's lots of different ways. And I mean, that's all engagement based, right? So you got your lead generation, polls, quizzes, surveys, all the fun stuff. And it's really high engagement, high touch stuff, which is nice.
And it's warm audience, right? It's not cold audience. Because if they've clicked on the quiz, they're already kind of interested in what you're talking about.
Yeah, which is nice, because cold is cold, man. It's only good for ice baths.
Yes.
All right, everyone. If you found this helpful, please drop a comment, share, obviously subscribe, because every subscriber is very helpful for us. Your feedback is always super helpful and important. So if there's anything that you'd like to see us talk about, any questions you have, drop them in the comments, and we will do our best to get back to you. If you have something that you want to know about that we haven't talked about, again, drop it in the comments, and we can look at building a podcast around that. All right?
Yes.
Anything else?
I don't think so. If you guys need help with budgeting, building an emergency fund, all that stuff, check out the link that Jess did drop. Her financial workshops are awesome and can be super beneficial if budgeting is a problem for you. So
fantastic. All right, everyone. Happy Friday, and we will see you again next week.
yeah.
Bye.
Bye.